My lords, I am sure that you have all been saddened by the deaths during the recess of a number of noble lords who have given considerable service to your lordship's house over the years. In accordance with the traditions of the house, I will refer in particular to one of my predecessors as leader, my noble friend, Lord Soames. Many tributes in the press have given details of his outstanding political career and their assessment of his considerable achievements in a wide variety of fields. As your lordships will be aware, these started as Parliamentary Private Secretary to Sir Winston Churchill as Prime Minister and continued to many other offices and appointments, including Minister of Agriculture, Ambassador to Paris, Commissioner of the European Commission, and the last Governor of Rhodesia. I will confine myself to a few more personal comments about the Christopher Soames we knew, either as leader or as a member of your lordship's house. I know, from what I have been told, how much your lordships valued his work as leader and his interest in the working of the house. It is also worth recording that the presence of the television cameras in your lordship's house owes much to his initiative and his enthusiasm for greater publicity for our proceedings. In personal terms, I have little doubt that you will all remember him best as a big man in every sense of the word, for there was nothing small or small-minded about him. He loved to have his devoted wife Mary and his family around him. He enjoyed to the full the company of his friends, and he gave generously of his friendship, for he had a big heart. He enjoyed entertaining and being entertained, and few who visited him, particularly when he was ambassador in Paris, will ever forget his generosity and his hospitality. I know he would like best to be remembered for all these qualities, and I have no doubt that such is the memory of him which will live in your lordship's house. No doubt also there will be the memory, freshest of all in your lordship's minds, of the courage with which he faced his last illnesses. I know we would all like to send our sympathy to his wife Mary and to all his family.
My lords, as the noble Viscount has said, we have been greatly saddened by the death of a number of our colleagues during the recess, and the noble Viscount has referred in moving terms to the death of Christopher Soames. We all know the wide range of Lord Soames' interests and the great offices, both political and diplomatic, which he held with great distinction. He had a varied and colourful career. I got to know him first when he was Parliamentary Private Secretary to his illustrious father-in-law about 35 years ago. It is an interesting historical fact that he was probably the most influential PPS in the annals of Parliament. But there are others in this House who served with him and who can speak with greater authority about his role at that time. Shortly after I entered the other place, I was walking with a colleague along the library corridor when the Prime Minister and his Parliamentary Private Secretary passed by. We nodded respectfully to the great man. Later on that day, Christopher came to me laughing and said that the Prime Minister had asked who we were. And he had replied, "Some new Welsh members." Whereupon Winston Churchill remarked, "They can be quite nice, but you've got to observe them carefully." Lord Soames occupied several ministerial posts, including the Ministry of Agriculture, where I followed him in due course, and where I discovered immediately that he was very much respected. He was an arresting personality, as the noble lord has said, and he liked, indeed he insisted, as a minister, on having his own way. He was also probably one of the few members of Parliament who was fortunate to lose his seat, as he did in 1966, for it opened the door to the Paris embassy, where he was a welcoming and generous host, and the EEC Commission, and as a committed European, he filled that post with well-known enthusiasm. His return to politics as leader of this House will be remembered best in history for his short but historic tenure in Rhodesia, and Mr. Mugabe's presence at his funeral was a fitting tribute to his service there. This House has lost one of its outstanding personalities, and we shall miss him and send our deep sympathies to Lady Soames and the family.
Towards the long recess almost always results in our returning with some new and very sad memories, and that is the case today. In particular, we mourn the loss of one who was our leader, but our first thoughts must go not to our own sense of bereavement, but to the loss sustained by his family, and it is to them, on behalf of all my friends, that we offer our most sincere condolences. My lords, I was fortunate in getting to know Christopher Soames quite well, mainly in the other house. But there is nothing remarkable about that, for there were few people whom it was easier to get to know. He was always very friendly, outgoing, warm-hearted personality, and in particular, he refused to take, in his personal relationships, he refused to take any account of the difference in status or even of party of those to whom he was showing friendship. My lords, he was totally devoid of stuffiness. He was a great man, as has been said, in every sense. He had a most remarkable endowment of talents and a remarkable tally of achievements. He was a great soldier. He was a great ambassador. He was a great minister, indeed a cabinet minister. And which of us has already been referred to will ever forget his achievement as the last governor of southern Rhodesia. And as we all know, he was Lord President of the Council and leader of our House. But perhaps, my lords, my first and greatest memory of him will always be for the steadfast way in which he promoted and supported the European cause. Not only did he do remarkable work in this country, but there he was in Europe to be seen plainly as the most English of Englishmen, behaving, talking, speaking, incidentally in good French, speaking as a European. He was a great ambassador in Paris and equally great ambassador in the EEC. My lords, I'm sure that there are hundreds in this country, in Europe and in Africa, who will share our sense of deep loss.
On behalf of the Crossbench peers, I should like to associate this part of the House with what has already been with eloquence said about the late Lord Soames. Not much has been said in the press about his distinguished leadership of this House from May 79 to 1981, interrupted as it was by his 5 months as Governor-General. Despite this interruption, he made a wholly beneficial impact on the House, not only because he had great presence as leader, but primarily because he clearly cared about the House, its traditions and its future. And we on the crossbenches appreciate his quality and his respect for backbenchers, and those who hold no party political allegiance. As has already been said, he was the prime mover in promoting television in this House. It was his motion in December '83 that led to the initial inquiry, the experimental period, and now to the coverage which we have all grown so used to. This was just one aspect of his intense interest, close interest in the House and its future. We also send our deep sympathy to Lady Soames and her family.
Dean of Beswick.
Lords, I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the archbishop.